Welcome to this virtual information session. We're going to go ahead and get started. This session is being put on by Northeastern University's College of Engineering, and today we're talking about the Master of Science degree in the Internet of Things. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm your host. My name is Jeffrey Hengel, and I work in the Graduate School of Engineering and Admissions. Today's featured speaker, though, is the Graduate Program Director, Dr. Peter O'Reilly, who will be going into great detail about the program today. So we have lots of information to share with you. Our session will last less than an hour, but it may take most of this coming hour. And in this time frame, you're going to learn a great deal about this particular program and other opportunities at Northeastern University. Before we get started with the main part of our talk today, a few introductory notes. We ask that all participants turn off their microphone and camera. That tends to work better for these webinar presentations, minimizes background noise and distractions. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you see a chat button. If you have questions as we go along today, please feel free to let us know. And make sure that you type your questions in the chat window to everyone. Select everyone so that the most appropriate person can see and answer your question. Because it's not just myself and Dr. O'Reilly who will be on our session today. We have additional staff at Northeastern in Admissions in our Cooperative Education program and other program staff who can answer your questions. So this is kind of a team approach, and we make sure that prospective students to our programs get as much information from the experts, if you will, as possible. Once again, this presentation is packed with information. Don't worry too much about taking careful notes. We're going to send all of you a recording of this session probably within the next couple of days. So look out for that in your email inbox. Also look out for other invitations to other program webinars that we'll be putting on over the coming weeks. If some of you joining us today actually are applicants to our graduate programs for spring 2018 term entry. So if you already applied, then you should be hearing back regarding your official decision to the program that you applied to by mid-October timeframe. So in a couple short weeks, you'll know your official status in the program to which you applied. Good luck. This is a competitive admissions process. If you have not yet applied and you're interested in spring 2018 entry, even though the deadline recently passed on September 15th, we can actually accept applications up until around October 1st. And if you've already taken the GRE, you've already taken the TOEFL, if that's required of you, then you can go ahead and submit an application very quickly before October 1st, and we'll do our best to get that reviewed for spring 2018 entry. But most applicants actually to our programs will enter in the fall, and they typically will apply by January 15th. January 15th isn't the final deadline, but we get most of our applications in January time frame. So just to let you know what to expect in terms of the time frame. Some of you joining us today applied to a program other than the Internet of Things. But here at Northeastern, we encourage all of our applicants, if they have interest in multiple programs, to submit a second application to an alternative program of interest. Some applicants won't be accepted to their primary program of interest, but if they have a secondary program of interest, then they might get admitted to that one. So it basically increases the chances of success since admissions is highly competitive. Some programs are more competitive than others in terms of acceptance rate. Some programs have more capacity for new students than others. So all of these things impact whether or not a candidate is accepted. So if you applied already to our programs, you would have received an invitation to submit an alternative program of interest application with a waiver of the $75 application fee. With that said, just a few broad comments about Northeastern University. Why apply to Northeastern University? Why attend Northeastern University if you're accepted? It's because Northeastern is one of the best national universities in the U.S. as per the U.S. now. I began my position about 7 years ago, and every year the ranking of Northeastern grows by leaps and bounds. I don't know if any other university has grown or increased its rankings as much as we have over the past 7 years or so. So our current ranking is 39. 7 years ago it was somewhere like in the mid-60s. So the ranking says a great deal about Northeastern University's quality of programs, quality of faculty, and it's all around a very highly reputed school. So part of our rankings have to do with how other institutions view Northeastern. Part of that ranking also has to do with what employers think of our graduates. And so that all plays into the Graduate School of Engineering ranking. Boston, if you haven't been to Boston, Boston's a wonderful city. It's a famous academic community. It has some of the best universities in the U.S. for sure, and maybe around the world. So it's really a fantastic place to live and to work and to study. Lots of industrial opportunities in Boston. And as per the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Boston's ranked #1 startup hub in the U.S. I've also heard that Boston has one of the highest concentrations of engineers in the country also. Fourth on this slide is talks about the Graduate Cooperative Education Program. Northeastern is famous for its co-op program. We like to point out the word graduate here, underline the word graduate. It means that graduate students are getting highly relevant work experience in their field of study as they're pursuing their degree. So our students do a 4 or 6 or 8 month co-op while they're pursuing their degree. Most of those positions are paid. Students can earn a significant salary and get really fantastic experience as they pursue their degree. It's not required that students do co-op, but certainly many of our students are interested in co-op and pursue those. It's a competitive program, so not all students who want positions will get positions, but a great many of them do. And later in our talk, Professor O'Reilly will talk more about the Graduate Cooperative Education Program, or co-op for short. Last on the slide is that Northeastern University has been ranked in the top 4 for career services functions within the U.S. by the Princeton Review, which means that Northeastern University is serious about the career success of its students. Okay, so on to the main part of our presentation today. Let me say a few words of introduction for our main speaker, Professor Peter O'Reilly. Dr. O'Reilly is from Dublin, Ireland, where he studied electrical engineering and then later obtained his MS in electrical engineering from Colorado State University and an MS degree in applied mathematics from Georgia Institute of Technology, where he also received his electrical engineering PhD. I know many of you joining us today are electrical engineers, and you may be interested in electrical engineering type programs, so you can see the connection between Dr. O'Reilly's background and the program that he's presenting today. Professor O'Reilly has been a graduate director at Northeastern University since 2002 and is now leading up the effort to promote the computer systems engineering program with a specialization in the Internet of Things. Before Northeastern, Professor O'Reilly was at GTE Labs and Verizon Communications, where he held a number of technical and management positions. He also managed a number of large software development projects that span multiple locations. Without further ado, then, let me pass the microphone over to Dr. Peter O'Reilly.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this webinar, this virtual information session on the Internet of Things, our Internet of Things program at Northeastern University. Next slide, please, Jeff. The degree we offer at the moment is we're calling this an IoT specialization, Internet of Things specialization. Is a Master of Science in the Computer System Engineering program with a specialization in Internet of Things. This was so that we could get this program up and running at very, very short notice. So it's been offered for the first time in fall 2017. And at the moment, actually, even though it's not an official program, we have over 40 students on the program. by the fall of 2018, it will be an official concentration in the Computer Systems Engineering program. And hopefully, the year after that, we'll have a standalone MS program. In other words, you will get a Master of Science in the Internet of Things. So if you join in fall 18, but it's certainly by the time you're going ready to graduate, you will have a Master of Science in the Internet of Things. Okay. And next slide, please. Yes. And so I guess most of you know or have heard about the Internet of Things. Otherwise, I guess you wouldn't really be on this webinar this morning. So the Internet of Things is basically the internetworking of physical devices, vehicles, buildings, and other items or things, if you like, embedded with different levels of electronics, software, sensors, actuators, and they all have network connectivity which enable these objects to collect and to exchange data. And each of these objects are going to have, or things are going to have unique identities, and they will be connected using the Internet protocols to facilitate smart applications that can support various application domains such as energy, logistics, industrial control, retail, agriculture, healthcare, etc., etc. And this, of course, has been driven by a lot of the technological advances in sensors, mobile devices, wireless communications, networking, and cloud technologies. Okay, so, and this program has been, this is very much an interdisciplinary area. So this program has been designed so that we meet the expected demand for new kinds of specialists who can do a lot of things such as engineer new interactive services and gather, acquire, and process the data generated by all these devices. And then, obviously, in terms of being able to design architectures that can support and interconnect these things as part of much bigger and diverse systems, and in many, many application domain areas. Next slide. Yes, thanks, Jeff. So, why do we need a master's degree specializing in the Internet of Things? You might think maybe you can learn a lot about the Internet of Things as part of other programs. It's clear, obviously, that this is going to be a very major new area. So it's important that we have programs, especially in this area. And it's potentially ubiquitous, in other words, everywhere within a very short period of time. A recent survey said we expect to have 30 billion these devices deployed by 2020, which is a long ways from what we have today. We have around, I think, 6 to 7 billion is the current estimate. This area is going to provide a lot of opportunities to work in different application disciplines or industry sectors, and I could list a whole bunch of them there, and of course there are many others as well, as I mentioned before. Now, this technology, the Internet of Things, is still in its early stages, still a nascent technology, but it's expected to mature really quickly once it's been more accepted by the various domains, and some of the reservations in terms of acceptance have to do with things like security and privacy, which I'm sure you're aware of, and standardization is stabilized. It's not that we don't have a load of standards. There's loads of standards already developed in this area, so it's really ready to go. It's not like we're waiting for standards, which obviously could hold things up. But the standards are already there, but people have not sort of focused down. In fact, there are a lot of standards at different levels, such as wireless area and the application protocol areas, but the different domains have not actually settled on what standards should be used in what areas. Until they do, that is why this massive deployment of Internet of Things devices and applications has been slowed down a little bit. Next slide, please. So, given that you want to do a program in Internet of Things, well, why come to Northeastern? Well, the first reason is that we're currently the only university in the U.S. that's offering an MS program in this area. So if you want to do Internet of Things or specialize in that area, you really have to come to Northeastern. There are some other programs outside of the U.S. and Europe, but in North America, at this point, we're the only game in town. So you have the opportunity to be one of the first graduates with a specialization or a concentration in this area. And not only that, but you have the opportunity to attend a program with a strong focus on industry, not on research. So the goal of the program is to prepare our graduates to work in industry, not to do research. So if you really want to work in this area in industry, obviously this is the program for you. Northeastern has tremendous advantages in offering an Internet of Things program because we already have a lot of expertise in areas very closely related to the Internet of Things, such as networks, data analytics, software development, IT, and so on. And these are all areas that make up the set of disciplines that support the Internet of Things. We've already developed 2 new IoT-specific core courses, and the plan is to add more IoT electives over time. So over the duration of this program, as next year and the year after, we'll be adding more special IoT or specialized IoT courses, as well as the courses in these other domains that are areas such as data analytics, networking, and so on that we already have offer here at Northeastern. Another big advantage of our program here at Northeastern is that we provide loads of flexibility in the choice of elective courses. So that if a student really wants to focus, say, on the data analytics area, we have the courses to support that. Or if it's networking or more in the software development area, there are courses that we have already. And the program has that flexibility to support students in focusing in these different areas. Next slide, please. So careers in this rapidly evolving area expect to encompass many industry sectors, energy, healthcare, transportation, infrastructure, all the way to manufacturing. And it's already, obviously, in some of these areas already, and will, I think, grow very fast in many of these areas. Some probably more than others, at least in the early stages. They all won't be going at the same rate. Because there are different concerns for things like security and privacy in areas like healthcare than there are in some of the other areas. So during this program, students will develop an understanding of the range of IoT technologies that are available. We'll learn about architectures and different solutions applicable to different domains. This is not a case of a one-size-fits-all. And they will also have the opportunity to develop skills and advanced knowledge in areas such as data analytics, security, IoT architecture, and the building of distributed applications. Next slide, please. So, a question that applicants often ask is, what is considered by the review committees when they're looking at applications? Well, for this particular program, we need an undergrad degree in engineering, computer science, physics, or math. In other words, our applicants need to have a strong quantitative base. So over your undergrad program, you will need to, which we look at the average over the 4 years. It's the standard in U.S. Universities, where we look at GPAs, the GPA over the 4 years undergraduate degree. And for U.S. applicants, we generally look for a 3.0 average. So the equivalent for that in, say, a lot of Indian universities would be a first-class degree. I'd be the bare minimum, but we generally look for a first-class with distinction or the equivalent of that. I understand that many universities don't have those kinds of distinguishing characteristics, but we have a pretty good idea based on our experience in what the equivalent grades are for different universities in different parts of the world. We also look for good GRE and TOEFL scores, and we particularly look, in the case of the GRE, we particularly look at the quantitative, and we generally need a minimum of a 50th percentile, and the 65th percentile would be very desirable. In the case of TOEFL, the hard minimum is 79, but we do look for higher scores than that, generally of around 90 or higher. However, before we make any decision as regards an applicant, whether to admit or not to admit, we look at the complete package that an applicant provides. So it's not just the GRE, TOEFL, and the academics and so on, and maybe prior work experience, if that's the case, but we also look at things like your CV, your letters of recommendation, statement of purpose, everything that's in your application package. So everything is important, possibly some more than others, obviously, but the whole package is reviewed before a decision is made on any application. So let's talk about the degree. Like all of our master's degrees here in the College of Engineering, pretty much all, it's the requirement that students will have completed 32 semester credit hours as a minimum. Now, that will be made up, in the case of the IoT program, a mixture of core courses, required core courses, and electives. And up to 4 core courses are required. And since all our courses here in the College of Engineering at Northeastern are 4 credits, 4 courses equates to 16 credits. And then students will generally take 4 electives, which is also 16 credits. Now, it's possible to waive up to a maximum of 2 core courses if you've already covered that material elsewhere in your undergraduate or another graduate program. Of course, it's up to the discretion of the program director to decide whether or not your background can be what you've learned in your background is enough to warrant a waiver of one of the core courses. In terms of the electives, and as I mentioned before, we support a wide range of electives. Electives, obviously, from the Computer System Engineering program itself, from the IoT specialization, obviously, and also from the Engineering Software Design concentration, and also from other programs in the College of Engineering, such as Information Systems, the Telecommunications Systems Management program, the Electrical and Computer Engineering program, Engineering Management, and Industrial Engineering. Because we have a lot of interdisciplinary courses right across the college. And it's also possible, with approval from your advisor, to take up to 9 semester hours outside the College of Engineering, particularly, for example, in the College of Computer Information Science, and possibly even in the School of Business. Again, you would need prior approval before you take any of those courses. And you need prior approval before you take any course that's not on the official approved list, in any case. Next slide, please. So this program, as I say, is a 32 semester hour program, and most students will be taking 2 courses per semester. Obviously, it's possible to take more than that, but we generally, certainly in the first semester, encourage students only to take 2, especially if they're international students, and because coming to study in the U.S. is, our system of education here is quite different from probably the system of education you've experienced in your home country. So taking 2 courses per semester breaks down to 4 semesters. So if you don't go on a co-op, you'll probably finish the course in less than 2 years. For example, if you started the program in September 2017, you would probably finish in May 2019. With a co-op, it depends on when you take the co-op. If you take the co-op during an academic semester, then students generally will finish at least 1 semester later. So with a co-op, it's often 2 years and 4 months. In that case, the student may not finish until December 2019. But of course, it is also possible to complete the whole program in 1 year. Well, it has been done, but that's been done for other programs, not obviously for this particular program. Next slide, please. These are the 4 core courses that are currently set up for this program. And as I mentioned, up to a maximum of 2 may be waived in special cases. We have 1 core course in networking, a core course in C++, because that C++ is one of the primary languages that's used within the IoT today. That may change, but that's the way it is today. And then there are 2 courses that these are 2 new courses we are developing to support the IoT. One is on the fundamentals of the IoT, the Internet of Things, and the other is on connected devices. Since we just started up this program this fall, and so when we started drawing applications actually for the program in the spring, we're running the two courses below, the two IoT core courses this semester are being run as special topics. So they have slightly different numbers than these here. But these are, hopefully, we expect these to be official numbers of these two courses by fall 2018. So the next slide, we talk a little bit about here what's in these two core courses. The fundamentals of IoT, you can read what's here. We deal with technologies and architectures, devices, gateways, machine-to-machine, everything as a service, standards, and different kinds of models, reference models, domain models, security models. This course is, the idea here is you get a very broad brush of what's happening in the IoT. Then we talk about different wireless technologies. These are some of the technologies that are currently being used today. It's not all, there are others too. The IoT protocols and middleware, we're talking about the application layer protocols and middleware to support that. And then identification and discovery mechanisms, different use cases, and then issues of security and privacy. In the second core course, in the connected devices course, we will focus in more on the IoT devices and the software on those devices and building applications, device platforms. These are some of the ones that students may work with. Also, I should add in there as well, possibly mobile devices themselves, and the different kinds of service platforms and gateways. The second course will include a development of a basic IoT application. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go through three of the core courses very quickly. This is the networking core course, which is part of the telecom program from Northeastern. So you would take this course with the telecom students. And you can see, I'm not going to read through it, but it gives you the basis of data networking protocols and architectures. So because of the term Internet of Things, obviously we're using Internet protocols right through this, everything at the IP level, and wireless protocols before that, and a number of transport and application protocols above that. So you really need to have a good understanding of basic networking. The next core course is a C++, and you can read there what's covered in that course. Okay. So it's object-oriented design and programming using C++. The next course after that is the new core course on the fundamentals of the Internet of Things, and I've already talked about that already. And this is actually the course description that will be in the catalog, and this course is actually being offered this semester, right? That's the course description for this semester's course. And it says that it explores the foundations and technologies involved in the Internet of Things. And the last one is the connected devices. We don't have an official course description of that one yet. So, electives. Electives, we've broken them up into different categories. One big area for electives is in data storage analytics, then electives security and privacy, protocols and architecture, and you can read through different domains, the control and application interfaces, and then electives in both management and development and society and regulation. They're more like soft electives. These are more, these are not technical, these are more business electives. And there's no requirement that students take any soft electives, but you can take up, in other words, business electives, but you can take a maximum of 2 of these. And also, besides these electives, we hope that many students will take some form of a multidisciplinary project as part of the program. As I said before, we have prescribed a list of electives, and I'll quickly go through the list of electives that we have prescribed, but students can petition to take electives that don't appear on that list. Other electives from the College of Engineering, and also electives, as I mentioned, the College of Computer Information Science, and electives possibly from the College of School of Business. So the first set of electives, on the next slide, I list here some of these existing courses that deal with data, okay, and which students may take. Some of these may have prerequisites. In other words, you may have to take some, but some of these courses may require C++, some may require some knowledge of probability, but hopefully students will have that, or whatever the basis, whatever prerequisites are needed, so they can take whichever course of these they would like to take. Security and privacy, we've got one course listed here for the moment, but there are other security courses in the College of Computer Sciences students can take if they need to. In the area of protocols and architecture, there's a course in electrical engineering and wireless sensors networks, which is open to our students. And also, there's a course in the Internet Protocols and Architecture, which is a more detailed network protocol course in the telecom program. And we may add some, as I mentioned at the top, extra courses in this area and in other areas over the next couple of years. Because this is still very much an embryonic program. We're starting it up and we're building it up slowly. And what courses we will add over the next couple of years and what changes we will make to the program structure will depend very much on where the industry is going. So this is going to be driven very much by the industry demands more than by purely technology. Next slide, please, Jeff. So the next set of slides here list a whole bunch of potential special topics courses in different domains. Now, it's unlikely that we're going to be offering all of these courses, but some of them for sure. Again, it depends very much on which of these areas are the most active and which ones are more likely for students to need to have expertise in because of the job market. So we're going to wait and see in terms of where the huge rush is in terms of other things and make sure we have courses that deal with those particular domain areas. And control and application interfaces, and it's more on the user side. For example, web design, there's a course there that students can take as well. And the last set of slides, the last set of electives on the next slide deals with, the first two deals with areas in the management area, and so there's existing courses in engineering management program and in the information systems programs that are available. And we hope to have, obviously, a special topics course as well on the societal impact of the IoT and policy issues. Again, students may take a max of 2 of these courses or any other courses in this general area. And finally, we have a multidisciplinary project. The goal here is to have students from different backgrounds, IoT students, perhaps a networking student, perhaps a information systems program, work together in a multidisciplinary team, basically tackling some large domain-specific project. Okay, next slide, please. I have a couple of slides here on co-op, okay? So we all know what the goal of co-op is the goal of the graduate cooperative experience. It's education. Right, so you're going to learn a lot more from an industry perspective as well as from a classroom perspective, and also to give you experience in professional practice in your area. Students are allowed just one co-op and can range from a minimum of 4 months up to a maximum of 8 months. I should mention here that the range of lengths of our co-op, the fact that we offer fairly long co-ops, is a real advantage. Most of the other universities in the U.S. do not offer co-ops of 6 or 8 months. They only offer what they often refer to as summer internships during the summer, 3 or 4 months. And many companies have said to us they really like the fact that our co-ops are much longer, because very often by the time a student has learned about the company and what all the what he's going to do doing the job, it's time for that student to leave, because it takes probably maybe 6 weeks for a student to get up to speed. Whereas in our case, the company has the student for a much longer period of time, so they can really be a lot more productive. And so long co-ops are a real attraction to many, many companies. We have a team of co-op staff who work in getting students prepared for co-op and who also help place students in positions in the different companies. As part of the preparation for co-op, students who are interested in an industry co-op need to take a one-credit course, and that is required. That can be taken in your first semester or your second semester, but it is required if you are interested in going on a co-op. So to go on a co-op, there's a few requirements you have to meet. You have to have a GPA of at least 3.000. In fact, if your GPA is less than 3.00, you will be in academic probation, and you have other kinds of problems to make sure that you can stay at Northeastern. So unfortunately, that does happen to some of our students, but not that many. You need to complete at least 16 academic semesters. In other words, you need to be here for at least 2 semesters. So if you start in the fall of 2018, the earliest time you can go on co-op would be May 2019. But you can go on co-op in May 2019, anytime during the summer, September, and then you can, or if you don't get a co-op during those 8 months, you can come back and get a co-op in January the following year for 4, 6, or 8 months. So these are the major requirements to go on co-op. After you complete a co-op, you need to come back to the campus for at least 1 semester before you can to graduate, and then you can go work for a company outside on OPT. But you do need to be on campus for your last semester. So it's not possible to go directly from a co-op to a full-time position, although it's been my experience that many students who do well in a co-op, that their employer is very happy to keep the position open for them for 3 or 4 months so they can join the company after they graduate. So that's generally not an issue because our employers understand the immigration requirements around the whole co-op or CPT program. Next slide, please. So for IoT students, now IoT is going to be obviously a new area. So the co-op team will be working on developing a list of positions for IoT students. And since IoT is still a growing area, they will try and get positions obviously in IoT itself, but also in areas that are allied to IoT, such as networking, software development, data analytics, and so on. Now, students can also find their own positions, and that if you find your own position, then obviously you have a competitive advantage because you won't have to compete with the other students in the program or elsewhere. In terms of, because IoT is a new program, obviously we don't have any data on co-op placements. We don't know how, however, for areas that are fairly close to the Internet of Things, such as networking and software development, our placement there are really high. So in networking areas, at least over 70%. In the past couple of years, actually, a couple of years, has been over 75%, and in networking generally, it's been over 80%. So, you know, all things being equal, the chances of getting a co-op are pretty good. I mean, there are some reasons why some students don't go on a co-op, but some are clearly not really interested. They may have taken a co-op course but don't go any further. As I mentioned, if you have poor grades, if your GPA is low, you certainly won't be going on a co-op that's under 3.0, but if you're marginal GPA, you're going to have obviously more problems. Students with good GPAs, obviously, you expect to do better in getting a co-op position. Some students have a lack of motivation. They don't really follow through very much because essentially you have to apply and apply and apply and be prepared for rejection. You have to be prepared to go for long technical interviews and so on the phone and so on. And another reason is that some students, their English language skills are not really sharp enough. They have problems being understood or interpreting questions, and that, you know, can be a real problem in phone interviews, which can go very, very technical, can go on for an hour or even more. So you really need to have good communication skills to handle that. Next slide, please. So, in terms of financial support, the vast majority of our master's programs here at Northeastern do not provide any financial support. We do not provide any research or teaching assistantships with a tuition waiver. However, clearly students can go on industry co-ops, and pretty much all our co-ops are paid co-ops, generally in the range of $25 to $30 an hour, although some students have managed to get over 40, but that's not the norm. And from the point of view of, obviously, for immigration purposes, as regards CPT, curricular practical training for F1 students, and that can be a reasonably well-paid co-op can be provide a lot of financial support to a student. And students can also work on campus. You can work up to a maximum of 20 hours per week and all kinds of jobs, some technical, some not so technical on campus. And students can also be employed on an hourly basis as course assistants. This would not apply, obviously, in your first semester. You have to do well in a course first, and if you do well, which means generally getting an A at least, and then impressing the instructor, then you may be employed as a course assistant during the next semester or sometime in the future. But that can be a valuable experience besides the financial support it can provide. Okay, so next slide. So what's next? We list here a website you can go to learn more about all the programs here at Northeastern. Application development deadlines are here. We have for example, a future event on webinar on graduate engineering co-op, okay, in October. And if you have any specific questions about what I presented today, you can contact me directly. And at that email address there, which you see, okay, I said here about the content of the program, not so much admission stuff and deadlines and so on. You can talk to admissions people about that. But if you have questions about the courses and things like that, I'm very welcome to. You're very welcome to contact me, and I'll be very pleased to answer your questions. And so now I guess it's time for us to deal with any questions that you may have submitted. I'll hand this back to Mr. Hengel.
Thanks, Dr. O'Reilly, for that very complete overview of the Internet of Things program. We actually have a number of questions for you from our participants, so let me pose those on their behalf. First question was received by a participant, and he's asking a technical question about some of the topics that are taught in some of the courses. So he's asking, does this program include courses on real-time operating systems and firmware design?
At the moment, we don't have any courses, and there are courses at Northeastern on different kinds of operating systems, but we don't have any as part of this program. But students could take courses elsewhere, for example, in the College of Computer Science, if they want to, on real-time operating systems. And the focus in this program is not so much on firmware and hardware, it's more on building applications that will run on these devices and on middleware and so on in the network. So we're not focusing in this course on firmware or anything like that. So that's a very, very narrow focus, and that will be handled pretty much by the manufacturers.
Okay, thank you, Dr. O'Reilly. Next question is, I guess we'll stick to kind of the course-related questions first. One of our participants is asking if this is a course-only program. I believe there's a project option that a student could pursue. Can a student pursue a thesis option?
At this point, we do not have a thesis option for this program, but students are encouraged to do a project. Generally, a 4-credit project can be done as part of a team, but not as a thesis. As I said, the focus of this program is very much towards industry, not towards research.
Okay, thank you. Next question, I'll maybe see if I can answer it, and then I'll ask Dr. O'Reilly to see if he has any additional comments. We have an attendee today who's applied to the data science program at Northeastern University, which data science, data analytics is a kind of a hot emerging field right now, so we're seeing a lot of programs popping up in this area. Data science is a program that is a partnership between Northeastern's College of Computer and Information Science and the College of Engineering's Electrical and Computer Engineering department. The student is asking Dr. O'Reilly if a student is pursuing the data science program at Northeastern, if they can take IoT courses as elective courses in that program.
Well, from the point of view of the IoT program, I have no problem with that. However, you would need to talk to the program director or the advisor for the data science program to see if they will allow you to take courses, that are in the IoT program. But from my point of view, I have no problem, but you need to find on your end as well, on the data science end as well.
Yes, exactly. If I were a student and I was investigating programs, what you'll do is you'll go to the program website, which are usually pretty well organized. You can see the core courses for any program, and you can see approved elective courses for any particular program. So you'll want to do a side-by-side comparison of data science and IoT. And you can see in some cases there will be overlapping approved electives where if they're on an approved elective list, then you can go ahead and take that course. It's already pre-approved. If a student wants to take an elective course outside of the elective course, the approved elective course offerings, then they have to seek permission from their program. So it's just another way of saying what Dr. O'Reilly was saying. You would go to your data science faculty member and essentially talk to them about your career interests and your academic interests and the fact that you'd want to take an IoT course. Then you would seek permission to take that course as an approved elective in your particular program.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Anything else to add there, Peter O'Reilly?
No, I just think that's absolutely correct. And the person who will make the decision is the program director or your academic advisor in your data science program. And even at this point, I guess you could send them an email and find out if they are willing to allow courses in the IoT. So, faculty are very busy, and maybe better to do that when you get here. Okay,
thank you. Another sort of, more academic-related question is a student may be interested in continuing on after the master's degree to a PhD. Would the IoT program be a good preparatory program for someone interested in pursuing the PhD?
I would think so. Even though we don't at this point have a thesis option, it'll expose you to all the kind of technologies and architectures and so on relevant for an IoT. And so I think it's a good stepping stone. It is not necessary that you have to have a master's thesis to go on for a PhD. What you need to be able to do, if you have a good project, would do just as well. And so this program will, get you ready for that.
Okay, Peter, a couple of other type questions. This falls in the realm of admissions. We have a participant who is a mechanical engineer in terms of academic program of study, but is working in the IT industry for a number of years. Everything else being equal, would a candidate with a mechanical engineering bachelor's degree and several years of IT experience be a strong candidate for the IoT program?
Absolutely, yes. As I say, we're looking for somebody with good quantitative skills, and could be engineering, computer science, math, whatever. Mechanical engineering is just as good as electrical or, computer engineering or, computer science, whatever. I think that background is excellent.
Okay, thank you, Dr. O'Reilly. One other question has to do with the kinds of job opportunities that an IoT graduate would pursue. You were mentioning during your talk about the cooperative education program how positions related to networking and software development would be in the IoT realm. Anything else come to mind in terms of job titles that an IoT graduate would pursue?
Well, anything in the area of data analytics, for example, because a large part of IoT is, obviously these devices are gathering data which have to be processed. So with skill sets in that area, that will certainly, maybe potentially a lot of jobs in that area in analyzing this humongous amount of data that's going to be generated by these devices.
Okay, very good then. I think we're at the end of our questions that have been posed so far by participants. We have about 5 more minutes until the top of the hour, and so we're happy to answer any other questions that you might have. In the meanwhile, there's a couple of concluding slides that we'd like to cover. Once again, the slide that you're looking at is a very important one. It has Dr. O'Reilly's contact information if you want to follow up with him following this session. And if you have any admissions type inquiries, they can be sent to the URL that's referenced there. A couple sort of concluding slides as you consider any last questions that you might have is the idea of investing in your career. One attendee today asked about the tuition costs. The cost per credit hour for the upcoming academic year is $1,523 per credit hour. Most MS degrees are 32 credits long, so you can do the math on what the tuition costs would be, somewhere in the neighborhood of $48,000 in total for tuition. If a student takes the co-op program or pursues co-op, that's billed at 1 credit hour, so you can add an additional $1,523 to the tuition cost. Tuition tends to go up 2 or 3% each year, so if you're looking for fall 2018 entry, that number will increase just a bit from year to year. Fees are about $500 per year, and full-time graduate students must have health insurance. Most take advantage of Northeastern's health insurance program, which is billed at about $2,100 per year. Those are some of the academic costs only. So there's personal costs like housing and other accommodations. Sometimes we use a figure of around $70,000 or $80,000 when we think about the total investment to pursue an MS degree at Northeastern in Boston. So it's a heavy investment of time and energy and money. But professionals invest heavily in their professional development so they can get the career that they want, developing knowledge and skills, and they can benefit, if they come to Northeastern, they can benefit from all the linkages to industry that we can provide. Sometimes I talk about someone pursuing a medical degree or an aspiring attorney going to law school. These professionals and other kinds of professionals, including engineers, invest heavily in their own education in order to experience a great return on the investment, namely higher lifetime career and getting much better sort of job opportunities. We already mentioned some of these things, but just to reiterate that most students at Northeastern who are pursuing their master's degree fund their education entirely using their personal or family funds. Many students will take out education loans. As we've discussed, if a student is successful in getting a cooperative education position, especially a long one like 8 months, working full-time in the middle of their degree program, they can earn a very significant salary to defray education costs. A lot of international students and other students will work while they're pursuing their degree. I know anecdotally from speaking to our international students that many students are successful in finding part-time work. Any applicant to Northeastern's programs are automatically considered for partial tuition scholarships. There are very few of those that are offered. They typically go to the top 3% of our admitted pool. So they're very tough to get. If a student is going to be offered any kind of financial award or scholarship, they'll be notified. If a student is not selected for any type of scholarship, they will not be notified. So if you're lucky enough to get an offer, then congratulations, but know that the vast majority of MS students are self-paying in terms of tuition. Okay, so we have a handful more questions. It's just 1 minute before the hour, but let's see how many questions we can answer in the next 5 minutes or so. A lot of these will be for you, Dr. O'Reilly. First question is about C++ programming. Is that mandatory for all students in IoT, or can it be replaced with some other programming language?
Well, generally we ask our students to learn C++ because that is one of the primary languages used today in the IoT. If you've already taken the C++ course, you know C++ fairly well, you may waive that course, or you may take a course in Java, for example. I should also note that in part of the networking core course, that includes learning Python, if you don't know Python before. And again, that's one of the major languages that is used in the IoT today.
Okay, thank you, Dr. O'Reilly. We have an admissions question. I'll see if I answer the question, or I'll attempt to answer the question first. We'll see if Dr. O'Reilly has additional comments. A student joining us today was already offered acceptance for fall 2017 in the IoT program, and for a variety of reasons, many of our admitted students need to defer their acceptance to a future term. So a student is interested if he can defer, he or she rather, can defer acceptance to the fall 2018 term without reapplying. The answer is no. Deferrals are practically guaranteed from any fall term to the following spring. So if you were interested in entering the IoT program beginning spring 2018, then most likely that would be an automatic approval of that petition or that request. But we typically don't allow deferrals in this program from fall 2017 to fall 2018. Reasons for this are that admission standards and requirements can change from year to year, so we typically don't honor a request for a full year deferral in this particular program. So if a student was interested in fall 2018, they would need to reapply without a guarantee of acceptance.
However, of course, if you got admitted before, the chances of being admitted in fall 18 obviously are going to be pretty good. Okay.
Okay, very good to mention that. Another student or prospective student attendee today is asking a question once again about the course option versus thesis option or versus a project type program requirement. This question has already been answered. The IoT program is mostly a course-only program, so you're pursuing courses that are composed of knowledge and skills that are immediately applicable in the field. It's not a research-based type program, so there's no thesis option, but students can pursue a project if they have a project in mind.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so we'll stay on the line here for just a couple more minutes and see if we have any other questions from participants. Got a question here for admissions. Let me respond to that. One question has to do with a attendee today who already applied to one of Northeastern University's programs, and they're interested potentially in this IoT program, which is really fantastic. That's the whole goal of our session today, is to encourage students who are interested in IoT to apply to this program. If you already applied to another Graduate School of Engineering program, such as Telecommunication Systems Management or Electrical and Computer Engineering, then we invite you to submit a second or alternative program of interest application, which could be the Internet of Things program, where you would actually apply to the Computer Systems Engineering program, and you'll select Internet of Things as the specialization. This option exists on the application, and so if you're interested in this particular program, once again, look for Computer Systems Engineering with a specialization in the Internet of Things. Once again, you should have received an invitation to apply with a waiver of our $75 application fee to submit a second or alternative application program of interest. Question here for you, Dr. O'Reilly. One prospective student today is mentioning that he or she has a few years of experience that is IoT related. Would this degree program be something that someone with IoT experience would want to pursue?
Well, that's very hard for me to answer in the abstract, since I really don't know, what your IoT experience is. It also depends what your career goals are. I mean, for example, you wanted to work in the IoT in the U.S., for example, then coming here and getting a degree in this area, and then you would be ready you would have a very good background, having prior work experience and a degree in the area for a job opportunity inside the U.S. I mean, as I say, in the abstract, it's very hard to say whether or not it's a good choice for you or not. I mean, maybe you're happy enough. Since you're on this call in the first place, obviously you're looking at an advanced degree, but if you want to stay working in the IoT area, I would think this is the way to go. If you want to shift areas or something else, then obviously I think you should look for a master's degree in the area that you're interested in moving into.
Okay, thank you, Dr. O'Reilly. It's at about 7 minutes past the hour, so in the interest of time, that's the last question we'll answer verbally, at least today. We'll conclude our session in the next minute or so, but we'll hang on the line for about 5 or so extra minutes. So if we see chat questions that are posed to us via the chat function, we'll see if we can answer those questions before we conclude before we shut down this webinar session. So once again, thank you to all of our panelists and those of you who are joining our session today. We really appreciate your interest. We encourage you to apply to this IoT program if it's a program that is of interest to you. If you, once again, already applied to a Graduate School of Engineering program, we invite you to submit a second or alternative application to this program with a waiver of our fee. If you didn't receive that invitation over the last few days, please reach out to us and we'll make sure and give you instructions on how to do that. So with that said, let me once again thank you for joining us today. We'll hang on the line and answer any chat type questions over the next couple of minutes. With that said, once again, thank you for joining us, and let me conclude our session at this time. Have a great rest of your day, and we wish you the best of luck pursuing your graduate studies program.